Thank you for joining us. I'm Raymond Goh, and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. Prime Minister hopes decision on PPSMI can be made next year. And 3 new cases of COVID-19 confirmed in Malaysia. Good morning. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said he hoped a decision on the teaching and learning of science and mathematics in English, or PPSMI, can be decided by next year. The Prime Minister, who is also acting Education Minister, added the matter will be decided by the Cabinet and not his personal decision.
Jadi sekarang ini kita sedang sediakan kertas untuk ditimbang oleh Kabinet sama ada kita akan ada PPSMI ataupun kita kekal dengan mengajar sains dalam bahasa kebangsaan.
Itu ada timeline tak bila mungkin kertas kerja itu akan disiapkan?
Kita harap by next year kita boleh sedia cukup. Waktu ini kita belum ada guru dan sistem pengajaran juga akan ditukar. Kita tak guna sistem lama, kita akan guna sistem baru yang mana lesson itu disediakan oleh pakar dan guru boleh memimpin anak-anak murid dan guru sendiri boleh belajar.
Tun Dr. Mahathir also said the government had set up a subcommittee to evaluate the matter and would prepare a proposal paper for deliberation by the Cabinet. Earlier, the Prime Minister had attended a medical outreach program organised by Langkawi Youth Power Club, National Heart Institute and Brigade Sukarelawan Media Prima NSTP in Sungai Itau. On another matter, the Prime Minister has urged the people living in rural areas to go for early screenings to avoid any health complications. Tun Dr. Mahathir said among the diseases that could be diagnosed early through such screenings include cardiovascular-related illnesses, which is the #1 killer in Malaysia. The Prime Minister added that continuous promotion on the matter will help increase awareness among the public, which in turn will keep the society healthy. This includes initiatives such as the Medical Outreach Program jointly organised by the National Heart Institute (IJN), Media Prima NSTP's Volunteer Brigade and Langkawi Youth Power Club. The program, held in Kampung Sungai Itau, Langkawi since Friday, was not only limited to basic health screening, but also provided referrals to the nearest hospitals for those showing symptoms of heart complications.
Sebab itu promosi macam ini amat berkesan kerana sekarang ni orang kampung pun tahu, kita boleh tahu darah ada gula ataupun tidak, sakit-sakit apa yang mungkin dapat. Semua ini dapat orang kampung faham bahawa tak tunggu sehingga sakit baru nak periksa. Belum sakit pun kita boleh tentukan ada kesakitan, ada kemungkinan masa depan akan mengidap sakit. Ini adalah satu projek yang amat baik.
Tun Dr. Mahathir spent about an hour to take a closer look at the services provided under the Medical Outreach Program, including the equipment brought via IJN's mobile unit.
Sekarang ni kan banyak alat kita ni sekarang ni kita boleh hubungi dengan internet. Jadi walaupun kita mungkin tak ada doktor tu dekat sini, tapi hasil keputusan macam ECG ke ataupun keputusan echo yang kita buat dekat situ, kita boleh hantar melalui internet ke hospital yang ada pakar yang boleh baca keputusan tu dan terus memberi diagnosa kepada pesakit itu.
The CSR program was organised to help the people from all levels of society to keep abreast and check on their health condition.
Kita ada pakar-pakar kanak-kanak yang datang. Kita juga melihat dia punya ketinggian dia. Kita tengok mata dia, kita tengok kuku dia. Sama ada there is any early sign of any other penyakit yang dia ada. Jadi kita boleh advise parents sama ada kadang-kadang budak-budak ni dia ada cacing ke apa kan. So jadi kita boleh bantu at the very early stage. Jadi every time kita pergi ni kita keep on menambah baik.
Some 500 people turned up for the program. Another venue chosen for the program was Chi Bun Ko Moral Uplifting Society Hall in Kuah. Meanwhile, 65 volunteers from Media Prima, IJN and Langkawi Youth Power Club YPC came together to help clean up the beaches along Pulau Beras Basah. The initiative was aimed at helping to preserve the beauty of the island, which is among the top attractions for tourists in Langkawi.
YPC sekarang ni sedang merobohkan skuad YPC. Banjir di Pantai Timur baru-baru ni pun kita telah pun turun memberikan bantuan kepada mangsa banjir sebelum, semasa dan juga pasca banjir. Jadi kita akan hantar tim sukarelawan ini bersama-sama dengan agensi kerajaan seperti NADMA, Bomba dan juga APM untuk mendapatkan latihan dan sebagainya. Jadi mereka full equip untuk bersedia jika ada sebarang bencana turun.
He added that the conservation efforts also need to be carried out frequently to ensure tourist spots are not affected by the attitudes of people who take lightly of the need to maintain cleanliness in the environment. Three more COVID-19 cases have been identified in Malaysia, bringing the total number now to 22. Health Director General Dr. Noor Hishan Abdullah said a woman was among a group of 145 passengers of a cruise ship that docked in Cambodia on February 13th and had taken a flight to Malaysia a day later. He said out of the number, the woman and her 85-year-old husband, who arrived at the KLIA on Friday, showed symptoms of infection and was subsequently referred to the Sungai Buloh Hospital for further tests. Following tests by the Institute for Medical Research, she was found positive on Saturday. The woman is reported to be stable and is currently being isolated at the hospital facility. Earlier, Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said the two cases involved Chinese nationals, one a businessman aged 27 and the other a woman aged 32. According to Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli, the man was showing symptoms when he was screened at the entry point in Bukit Kayu Hitam, Kedah on Friday.
Selepas itu, sampel klinikal telah diambil untuk ujian pengesahan COVID-19 dan beliau terus dimasukkan ke ward isolasi di Hospital Sultanah Bahiyah, Kedah. Dan pagi ini, sampel klinikal throat swab beliau disahkan positif awal pagi tadi. Ini adalah kes ke-20.
The other case involved a woman who had been living in Malaysia and had gone back to China to visit her family from January 22nd to 30th. She tested positive upon returning. The minister also said more details would be disclosed later. He also advised the people not to panic over the COVID-19 situation in the country, saying the government had things well under control. Over in China, the death toll from the coronavirus epidemic has surged past 1,500 on Saturday, after 143 more deaths were recorded, with 2,645 new confirmed cases reported. This is a day after people returning to the capital from holidays were ordered to quarantine themselves for 14 days to try to contain the virus's spread. More than 24 countries have confirmed cases and several nations have suspended trade and travel links with China in a bid to contain the spread of the virus. 4 deaths have been recorded outside mainland China, namely in Hong Kong, the Philippines, Japan, and the most recent in France. French health minister in a statement said an elderly Chinese tourist hospitalized in France has died from the new coronavirus, the first fatality confirmed in Europe and outside of Asia. The 80-year-old man in hospital in northern Paris since January 25th had died after his condition had deteriorated rapidly after several critical days. France has recorded 11 cases of the virus. Meanwhile, Egypt has reported its first case of the coronavirus on Friday, becoming the first country in the African continent to confirm a case and the second in the Middle East region after the United Arab Emirates diagnosed its first case late last month. The patient has since been placed in quarantine isolation in hospital and is in stable condition. Over in Thailand, Bangkok has also recorded one new case of coronavirus, bringing the total in the country to 34 since January. According to a health ministry official, the new case is a 35-year-old Thai female medical worker who was infected through contact with a patient. In Japan, 67 more people on board a cruise ship quarantined off the country's coast have tested positive for the new coronavirus. The new cases from 217 tests bring the number of people diagnosed on the Diamond Princess, docked in the Japanese port city of Yokohama, to 286, including a quarantine officer who contracted the illness. The United States government, in the meantime, is preparing to evacuate American citizens aboard the Diamond Princess cruise ship, which has been quarantined since early February. In a letter to U.S. citizens on board, the U.S. Embassy said Washington plans to send a chartered plane to Japan for the evacuation on Sunday. The evacuees, however, will be required to undergo further quarantine of 2 weeks following arrival in the U.S. Weak foundations or pillars which do not meet the specifications could possibly be the cause for the partial collapse of a condominium under construction in Kuala Lumpur on Friday. Preliminary reports indicate that the incident was not due to a landslide, as the building had collapsed even before it rained. Federal Territories Minister Khalid Abdul Samad said following the incident, construction work at the condominium project has been stopped with immediate effect to allow for the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, DOSH, to investigate. Khalid also reminded all developers not to use shortcuts in their construction projects.
Bangunan runtuh, kita dah dapat dah dia punya laporan secara umumnya. Ianya bukan disebabkan runtuh tanah ataupun hujan dan sebagainya, tetapi struktur tu fail, ya. Dia tingkat 6 sampai tingkat 1 semua roboh. So ada kemungkinan besar ianya disebabkan oleh struktur yang tidak cukup kuat. Tetapi benda ni perlu dilakukan kajian yang lebih mendalam, sama ada ianya masalah foundation ataupun masalah kolom-kolom yang tidak cukup kuat.
The 3:40 p.m. incident involved the 37-story condominium project known as The Address, developed by Maxim Holdings at Taman Desa, Jalan Klang Lama. It was reported that 2 construction workers, both Bangladeshis, aged 26 and 30, were trapped under the rubble on the first level after the floor for the swimming pool on the 6th floor gave way. The first victim was rescued by firemen at 5:15 p.m., while the second at 9:40 p.m. So far, one of them has been discharged after receiving treatment at the Kuala Lumpur hospital, while the second victim is still being warded. The developer in a statement said it acknowledged concerns of buyers over the incident and also stated that the cause of the collapse is being investigated. Meanwhile, the sales license of the developer of the condominium block will be suspended. Housing and Local Government Minister Zuraida Kamaruddin said the Attorney General's chambers would suspend the advertising permit and developer's license, or APDL, pending investigation. She said the investigation would normally take about a month to complete, but she had asked the National Occupational Safety and Health Institute, or NIOSH, to expedite it. Zuraida added that the coordinating committee for the collapsed condominium incident will hold a meeting on Monday to discuss the matter. The government is studying amending the penalty for motorists found guilty for driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, as well as for dangerous driving causing death, with a fine of up to 100,000 ringgit. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said besides the fine, the jail sentence for the offender will be increased to 20 years from the current 10 years. Currently, the penalty was a jail sentence of up to 10 years and a maximum 20,000 ringgit fine. Lim was speaking to the media after visiting the 5 children of 39-year-old Khairizul Muhammad Noor, who died in an accident involving a motorist who was believed to have been drunk on Sunday. The Bagan Member of Parliament also presented the 5 children with a donation of 5,000 ringgit. In the 5 a.m. incident, Khairizul died at the scene, while his wife Zuriana Hassan, aged 36, was seriously injured and is in a coma at the Seberang Jaya Hospital. In line with rapid development and increase in population, Toyota Mobility Foundation, TMF, has recently launched the City Architecture for Tomorrow Challenge, or CATCH, in Kuala Lumpur. Working together with the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, CATCH is the region's first global challenge that aims to attract innovators around the world to submit novel and cutting-edge solutions.
CATCH, or City Architecture for Tomorrow Challenge, is a global call for innovation where we would like to provide data of Kuala Lumpur and try to get the best innovations to actually come and solve mobility-related problems for the city, including using private and public data. This particular global challenge, or CATCH program, actually, of course, we are trying to identify the best possible ideas from around the world to solve the mobility problems of Kuala Lumpur. So, of course, the first person who would benefit would be the residents of Kuala Lumpur. Secondly, since we provide a $1.5 million prize money for the best ideas, we think it'll also help a lot of people, entrepreneurs or people with ideas, innovators, to solve the problem. So we are actually giving them funding. Thirdly, we believe it'll also help the city to create a reputation for being a technology hub.
The 8-month global call for innovation is open to all participants, including startups, academic and research institutions, corporates, or even the general public. The challenge is to conceptualize and develop solutions that are dynamic, intelligent, and data-driven to design future city infrastructures, with Kuala Lumpur being the focal point. Participants can join the challenge via CATCH's official site, and ideas that are accepted will get to proceed to the next stage of the challenge, with the semi-finalists set to be announced in April this year. From there, they will undergo proof of concept development before the finalists are revealed in June.
The challenge aims to incentivize innovation.
In Sarawak, 14 people from 2 families were left homeless after their double-story house was razed when a fire broke out at Kampung Penekup, Hulu Muka district on Saturday morning. State Fire and Rescue Department said that the fire broke out at about 9:30 a.m. and Muka Fire Station received a distress call about 10 minutes later. It said a team of firefighters were dispatched to the scene and managed to douse the flames completely by 11:50 a.m. No serious injuries were reported, and the cause of the fire is still being investigated. In Negeri Sembilan, the Seremban Sessions Court has set March 26 for remention of the case involving 19 men charged with becoming members of the Gang Kabali organized crime group. Judge Madiha Harullah fixed the date after Deputy Public Prosecutors Muhammad Ishanuddin Alias and Muhammad Ashraf Minhad requested a new date to submit the forensic report, which to date has not been obtained. Ishanuddin said the prosecution also intended to submit an application to transfer the case to the Seremban High Court. All the 19 men aged between 18 and 50 were charged with committing the offence by a roadside at Batu 12 Setengah, Jalan Rantau Siliau in the Seremban district between February 1st and November 27th last year. Earlier, the 19 men were brought to the court complex at 9 a.m. amidst tight police security throughout the proceedings. Coming up after this break, Nightline's eSports segment. Stay tuned. Now for the eSports segment with the latest gaming news in Malaysia. In July 2019, Domino's Pizza Malaysia made a promise to award the country's eSport athletes with yearly supplies of pizzas if they won a medal at the 2019 SEA Games in the Philippines. On Friday, the restaurant chain kept their word and held a special prize-giving ceremony to honor and celebrate the national champions for their outstanding victory.
The
Malaysian esports contingent created history at the SEA Games when they returned home to Malaysia with a gold and bronze medal. Malaysia's Mobile Legends team, comprising of Ahmad Ali Huzaifi Abdullah, Abdul Wandi Abdul Qadir, Jamil Nurola, Izmi Hakim Hamjid and Muhammad Hazim On, who earned the bronze in the biannual games, were each awarded with a 2-year supply of pizza. While Dr. Yu Weng Kian, who was crowned the champion of Hearthstone in Southeast Asia after defeating Thailand's Wirit Popan in the final and winning Malaysia's first ever gold medal, was awarded a decade's worth of pizzas and also received a Domino's eSports trophy. Speaking to the media after the awards presentation, the 29-year-old academician and PhD holder highlighted the importance of supportive parents within the esports industry.
Parents have actually played a major role in their kids' lives, and a lot of times they are now facing general problem of breach of the gap. There's a gap between them and their kids, that the kids are too actively involved in games and their parents are trying to stop them. So these are some of the social problems that we see in esports, but parents should be more open about it and try to see how they can actually bridge that gap. There are many ways to go about it, but they need to be aware of the problem in the first place.
The awards were presented by Domino's Pizzas Malaysia and Singapore Operations Deputy President Shamsul Amri, who praised the winners' outstanding performance and sportsmanship.
We're glad that Malaysia has won a gold medal, and then we have a bronze medal winners as well. So today first thing is to recognize them, to go and give them an appreciation to all, to say, look, this is what they have achieved and we want to thank them for Malaysia to be successful in SEA Games. So that's this event first is in the forms of to recognize them. The main thing is for us to, for Domino's, is for us to support the esport, because esport, as you know, it's not a mainstream sport. So we heard the struggle, we know what was going on, so Domino's can very much relate to what's going on with esport.
Following the prize-giving ceremony, a panel discussion was held to discuss the esports landscape and its future outlook in Malaysia and around the globe. Also at the event were the national esports team, who were part of the 2019 SEA Games esports contingent, including the Dota 2, StarCraft 2, Tekken 7 and Arena of Valor team. The next SEA Games will take place in Hanoi, Vietnam in 2021, with esports hopefully returning as a medal event once again.
We're going for a short break, but when we come back, 15 children killed in fire at unlicensed orphanage. Find out the details next. Welcome back. Onto the foreign front now. At least 15 children were killed in a fire that swept overnight through an orphanage in Haiti run by a U.S. religious group, triggering renewed controversy over the hundreds of unlicensed orphanages in the poorest nation in the Americas. According to authorities, 2 children were burned to death and 13 died due to smoke inhalation in the blaze that ravaged the Pennsylvania-based Church of Bible Understanding's orphanage in Kenskoff. The religious group did not have a license to operate the institution, which housed around 60 children. The cause of the blaze was not clear. One of the children at the orphanage, however, said they had been using candles as the power in the block was out and a generator was not working. The orphanages, which in reality mostly house not just orphans, but children whose parents feel they cannot afford to look after them, proliferated after the 2010 earthquake in Haiti that killed tens of thousands. Only 35 of 754 such institutions are officially authorized, with another 100 in the process of getting a license. right, before we wrap up this edition of Nightline, let's take a quick look at what's being splashed across the front pages of Malaysia's main newspapers for Sunday, February the 16th. The New Sunday Times focuses on Deputy Health Minister's prediction on the end of the COVID-19 outbreak come spring. While Malaysia's best-selling Malay daily Harian Metro features the tragic story of a hero policeman whose body was found 36 hours after saving 36 lives. And Berita Harian reports on the odour pollution in Pasar Pudu caused by illegal waste dumping. Make sure you get your copies. And now it's time to wrap up Nightline. Let's take a look as dozens of sports lovers start a 3-day endurance race on the frozen Siberian Lake Baikal. This year, the athletes from different regions of Russia and other countries taking part in the Ice Storm Race will have to pull through 205 kilometers with winds, frost, and breathtaking landscapes. With that, I'm Raymond Goh. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.